What's up, everybody? Today we're going over some of the latest news in the military sphere. We've got some really interesting things to talk about. A couple of weeks ago, we started this new video idea where I would go over the military news and talk about what's been happening over the past couple of weeks, and I genuinely really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fascinating road to go down because, yes, I like doing reaction videos, but actually looking at the news and, more importantly, forming a really interesting and compelling discussion in our comments. We seem to have formed an incredible community of people who genuinely want to boost each other up and give each other the best news sources so we can get the best information and the best information flow between individuals. And it's beautiful to see. It really is. And so we're going to be doing it. Every weekend, I'm going to be putting out a video with the week's news in the military sphere. Obviously, if something groundbreaking happens like the US bombing Iran, we're certainly going to be talking about it within the week, right? That's not something we can just ignore here on Original Human. But at the end of the week, we're going to go over what's been happening on the previous week. And I think it's a really interesting place for you to get unbiased military news source. And that is incredibly important, which we'll get onto in a second. Before we start, though, check out morale. If you backed the Kickstarter, I would have put the sweatshirt on, guys, but it is hot here in the UK. We're going through a heat wave right now. I'm sweating my tits off. Listen, I have been to some of the hottest places, Yuma, Arizona, and some other incredible places, and it gets hot. But for some reason, the heat in the UK hits different. It really, really does. Check out morale. If you back the clothing, we should be getting it on Wednesday, which is insane to say. And you may have noticed, yes, I've got some fingernails painted. Listen, if my daughter wants to paint my nails, she gets to paint my nails, all right? I love her. And she wants to paint daddy's nails, and that's okay. And if you think that that's not okay, then you're a weirdo, because my daughter's amazing. Anyway, because I know some people will be like, Luke's got his fingernails painted. Listen, Juniper gets to do whatever she wants to do. She's the boss, all right? Anyway, someone called this on a previous news video. I'm literally sweating right now. Someone called this. We've got a new sponsor on the channel. We have got a new sponsor. This is incredible, and I'm so honored. I can't believe I'm about to say this. We are sponsored by Ground News. What? So I started doing the news videos. I thought it was super interesting. And I saw they had an affiliate, so I applied for it. And they contacted me. And they were like, hey, Luke, if you want to sponsor, we will give your viewers 40% off. Let me repeat that. 40%. 40%, okay? If you subscribe, like these are all the subscription options, right? If you go for the Vantage, which is kind of like the top tier, you get 40% off. There's a link down below. Insane. And the app, they've got an app. Where's my phone gone? Oh, it's in my pocket. There's an absolutely fantastic app on your phone where you can look at this. Now, why Ground News? It is a great place to vet yourself so you are unbiased. Here in the military sphere, right, we really need to understand that being unbiased is the best way to be in the military. If you're a vet or if you're someone who is in the military, you need to be getting your articles from all over the place and understanding where they're coming from and who is publishing these articles. And I'll get onto that in a second. This is why I love Ground News. So firstly, you can have all your different... If you go on the For You up here, you can basically favorite a bunch of topics, right? So I've got India, Iran, military operations, Ukraine, war, and a few other things. This is great because you can go through... Because there's loads of news, right? It's unbiased for everything. But I like to keep it all about military stuff here, right? But what is also really cool is you can see if it's left or right leaning, which I think is really, really important because you do not want to have tunnel vision. You do not want to go down a path where you're only getting news from one place. You need to be challenging yourself. And I'm seeing it in the community, actually. I'm seeing it in the community of this channel. In the comment section, we call each other out. And there are people who have left-wing biases or right-wing biases and people who are trying to be in the center. And it's really nice to see discussion. Like, there's people who are left-leaning thinking and right-leaning thinking, commenting and having civil discussion. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that was possible? That someone who believes that maybe, you know, women should have certain rights and someone who believes more in military gun rights can have a human conversation without being angry at each other. God forbid. God forbid we go against what some of the mainstream news say, where we're supposed to hate each other. No. Here on military news, we should be talking unbiased because it's about people's lives. And if you join the military for the right reasons, which is to protect people, you shouldn't have a bias. Anyway, what I think's really good, not only is the bias thing really good, and this might be a little bit of a bias of me, I like to see where the news is coming from when it comes from an ownership perspective. Because if a lot of the news articles, there's companies like BlackRock and a bunch of other companies that own news on both sides and like to see both sides of the political spectrum fighting. There's a bit of a conspiracy and all this stuff, and I kind of like the conspiracy part of it. You can see who is owning some of these news articles. So let's see that this one is owned by... So there's an article published on this specific topic of Russian drone cruise missiles attacks kill at least 2 people. The US news... Oh, let's find something a bit more... Moscow Times reported on this, right? 6%. You can see that they're independent, and you can really get down media conglomerate, private equity. You can see what ownership... And I think that's super important. If you're super keen on making sure that there isn't a kind of big corporation governing your news so you can be unbiased and not be fed propaganda, this right here is your best friend. And there's a great phone app. There's an absolutely fantastic app on your phone where you can get these news articles and get the... You know, it's better getting articles from places like this than it is to get it on Reddit or Twitter where it's unvetted. And the amount of AI spam that's going to be put out is only going to get worse. So giving yourself the opportunity to get news from a very good source is really important. This isn't giving you news articles. This is giving you a perspective on where these news articles are coming from. And I think that is beautiful, in my opinion. 40% off. Link down below. There's a link in the description. Head over there. Be a part of the movement. Give yourself the ability to check your ideas. If you've got a specific idea and it turns out that that's not right, you have the ability to change your ideas and change your perspective on the world. I think that's really important. Okay? Because I've done it plenty of times. I've had an opinion on something, found out that it was being biasly ran by certain corporations who were owning certain news outlets, and thought, hey, why is this massive corporation pushing this idea that I'm believing? And then you dig a little bit deeper and you find out that there's reasons behind it, and it all links to money, and there's a few conspiracies. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Anyway, check out Ground News. Link down below for 40% off. Let's get into some of the news articles today. The largest port in Europe is preparing for a possible war against Russia. So this is the Rotterdam port, which is in Amsterdam. It's a massive port, and they're prepping. There's a lot of countries right now in Europe that are prepping in case it kicks off with Russia. In my opinion, the truth is, the Russian economy is collapsing with incredible speed. If you've not been seeing this, the Russian economy is absolutely tanking. And when any economy tanks, you start seeing people become desperate. And I think Putin's going to start becoming desperate. He's already becoming desperate because we're seeing him making alliances with the Taliban, saying that they're an official government. He's bringing in troops from North Korea to help fight on the front line. They're getting desperate. And when the back's up against the wall, desperate things can happen. And you don't want that to happen. Listen, if Russia start going into NATO countries, it's going to get worse. And so Europe is preparing for war. And I think that's completely valid, which brings me into this big, I think this is probably one of the 2 major, or maybe 3 major news articles I wanted to go over today. Trump, this was only 5 hours ago. Trump says US to supply weapons to Ukraine via NATO. I thought this was super interesting. Again, thanks to Ground News right here, we can see it's centered, right? Pretty much everyone is covering this subject right now, which I think is really nice for us to see and have a debate on in the comment section down below, whether you agree with this or not. On Thursday, US President Donald Trump announced an agreement for the United States to provide arms to Ukraine through NATO, with the alliance covering the full cost. The announcement came after Russia launched a large-scale military campaign against Ukraine in February 2022. We already know about that. Trump said the weapons will be sent to NATO, which will cover all costs and distribute them to Ukraine, possibly including Patriot missiles. During the Thursday interview with NBC News, Trump said that the US is providing arms to NATO, which in turn is fully covering the cost of these weapons. The deal implies increased Western military support for Ukraine as NATO allies work to strengthen Ukraine's defense ongoing Russian attacks. Over the past couple of days, I don't know about you, but I've been seeing more and more news that Trump is getting quite pissed with Russia. I'm seeing more and more news about it. Now, some people are saying it's a distraction because of the Epstein files drama that's going on in the US with the government right now. Some saying that Trump's trying to kind of kick off with Putin because of that. We can have a discussion about that in the comments, whether you believe that or not. I think the whole Epstein files is a whole nother subject that we're not going to cover here because we're going to try and concentrate on military stuff, which is fascinating personally. In my own time, I look into that type of stuff a lot and follow them weird things that are going on quite a lot. But we can say that there's a trickle-down effect. If there is a big news article like that coming out, I'm not saying that Trump's going to want to distract the population onto something else, but I think what could happen, because at the end of the day, Trump's only human like everyone else. If you're getting irate about something else, you can that emotion can be put onto something else. I'm not saying that Trump's an emotional person, but what I am saying is when you get a bunch of people in a room and they're all pissed off about something else, that anger can sometimes be directed at something else unnecessarily. And I'm not saying that this is that scenario, but what I am saying is I'm seeing Russia getting quite pissed off with Trump getting quite pissed off with Russia recently. Over the past 48 hours, 72 hours. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section about that. And do you agree with me on that? And check me. Do you think I'm wrong? Because I'd love to know your thoughts on that. Anyway, in turn, the trickle-down effect of whether that's happening or not is that Trump seems to be aligning more with Ukraine. I did also see another article recently, which I wish I brought up, where President Zelensky and President Trump had a conversation recently, and apparently Zelensky said that it was a very, very good conversation with Trump, and it was one of the best they've had. And so we're starting to see that relationship maybe flourishing. Maybe that relationship is going to be getting stronger. Very interesting to see, and I'd love to know if you are more centered or left or right leaning. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on a good relationship between Zelensky and Trump? Because there's a lot of right-leaning people that don't like that. There's a lot of left-leaning people that do like that. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. I think personally, as a European, right, someone who, yes, I am a US citizen and a European citizen, British citizen, I'm obviously a big supporter in Ukraine and the fight to stop Russia from invading, right? I'm gonna let my bias be involved in that conversation right there, and you can check me if you believe that I'm wrong in the comments. But in turn, because of that, I do like to see a good relationship between President Trump and Zelensky. But let me know what you think about that in the comment section down below. Do you want the US to be supplying more weapons to Ukraine? You know, we've already given them a lot of money. That's another conversation. Do you think that NATO should be putting more in? Do you think the UK, America, and NATO should be backing off a little bit? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Next article. This one is interesting developments considering the US bombed Iran recently. Iran could retrieve enriched uranium at one nuclear site hit by US strikes, says Israel. Israel believes Iran could potentially retrieve enriched uranium buried beneath one of the nuclear facilities struck by US forces last month. CIA Director John Ratcliffe told US lawmakers that the destruction of Iran's only facility for producing metallic uranium took away Iran's ability to build nuclear weapons. Israel officials said that reaching the enriched uranium at Isfahan would be extremely difficult, and any attempt would prompt renewed Israel strikes. I've got a lot of biases in this opinion, and I'm going to let them biases out real quick. In my opinion, Israel have been saying that Iran are building nukes for pretty much my whole lifetime, right? For at least the past 20 years. I'm 33 now, but at least the past 20 years, Israel has been like, Iran can have nukes any day now. Iran can have nukes any day now. And it's been constant. The US did this strike, right? Whether you agree with that or not, we're not going to be talking about that. But it did set them back. And this feels, maybe this is a bias, but this feels like Israel's attempt to get back to that. Iran can have nukes any minute now. It feels like Israel wants to get back to that point again. And it makes me wonder whether Israel are going to keep saying that until a war with Iran starts. Whether you agree with me that or not, I don't know. This article was centered. 37% center, 31 left, 32 right. So it's covered by everyone. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I feel like Israel ultimately just want war with Iran. That's how I feel personally. And they really want to bring the US involved with it. I get it. You can follow the trails when it comes to the US government and its links with Israel. And in fact, the whole Western governments and its links to Israel, whether that's, and I'm going to get a bit conspiracy here, whether that's to do with the Epstein list and blackmailing or whatever that seems to be involved there, I don't know. But it seems like there is a big control. Israel likes to control the way the US thinks. And it does make me worry that we're going to get involved with a war with Iran because Israel wants it. I could be wrong. You can check me in the comments. I'd love for you to do that, actually. I'd love for you to give me your thoughts. I just don't want it to get to the point again where Israel every 2 seconds is saying that Iran's going to have nukes. Because if we get back to that point again, you know, all it takes is for the US to start bombing again, and before you know it, there's boots on the ground. We've got an Iraq situation again, saying that there's weapons of mass destruction. We don't want that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. We're going to move on to Pakistan, where it seems like there is still... I mean, there's always been animosity between India and Pakistan. This is no surprising news, but there was this absolutely heartbreaking bit of news that came out. It is leaning more right, but it is, you know, it's covered by everyone, this one, by the looks of it. Gunman abducts and kills 9 passengers from 2 buses in southwestern Pakistan highway. Gunman stopped 2 buses traveling through Balochistan province on Thursday night, abducting and killing 9 passengers in areas situated between Zob and I can't pronounce it. I do apologize. Basically, the gunman stopped the buses on a major highway, checked passengers' ID, singled out 9 individuals from Punjab, and shot them before fleeing the scene. So we're seeing a lot of heartbreaking news still coming out from this area. There's a lot of animosity still going on. It's heartbreaking. We did see a de-escalation of some sort. Like the news kind of slowed down when it came to Pakistan and India fighting. But it's still interesting to see. And the reason I pulled this up is actually because I saw another article first. Now, this is more left-leaning by 67%, so this is very biased. You can see this. There's a tab up here called Blind Spot. Let me open it up real quick. I think this is a fascinating tab on Ground News here where so I try and look for articles that are very centered, right? Because that's just, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, and I'm trying to check my perspective and biases, right? However, what this does is it shows you articles that are only being shown by the right, are only being shown by the left. So you can really start seeing, whoa, what are they saying and what are they saying? And start kind of cross-checking what's going on. And I saw this one that was biased by the left. Now, granted, there was only three news articles that are saying this. North Korea Times, Big News Network, and the Moscow Times, which I think are very interesting. 1 million Indians could immigrate to Russia. Now, let's think about that for a second. And how does that affect this India-Pakistan conflict? And also, how does this affect the Russian economy? Seeing a mass amount of immigration into Russia could help boost the economy. It could help bring prices down of labor, right? But it kind of gave me this idea. Yeah, again, it's left-leaning, so it could be just biased. It could be bullshit, right? It could not happen. It might be a scare tactic. We don't know. But it does make me wonder the shift of population. If the Russian economy collapses, people are going to want to get out of Russia. Maybe they have a bounce back, and maybe people want to emigrate to Russia, and it becomes this place for immigration. Is the conflicts with Pakistan and India causing people to worry about their safety and emigrate? Whether you'd emigrate to Russia or not, I don't know. It does make me wonder about the flow of immigration, and I'd want to get your thoughts on this. And I wanted to pull this up because of this bias distribution in the blind spot tab. Now, with everything, with these news articles, it can get quite serious and get quite, complicated. And so I wanted to end every single time I do one of these videos when we're talking about news articles and serious situations, whether that be war, whether that be potential war, bombings, immigration, all this other stuff. I want to end with something maybe heartwarming, something funny. And I saw this reel and thought we could end on something funny. Yeah, military reel. I kind of want to make it a tradition to end on something a bit lighthearted so we can boost our spirits and see that it's not all doom and gloom. Okay, let's watch this reel.
Agents, quit playing with a gun. Sorry. Jesus.
What?
Agents, quit playing with a gun.
Pulls out a freaking vanilla.
Jesus.
What?
Agents, quit playing with a gun. Sorry.
You can maybe submit your funny reel if you want to originalhumanbusiness@gmail.com if you want to do that. There'll be a link down below. I'm sweating. We're going to end it there. Thank you so much to Ground News for sponsoring. If you want to get 40% off a subscription and get that app downloaded on your phone so you can be unbiased, go ahead and do it. Link down below. Thank you so much to Ground News for sponsoring. I'm excited for this new direction of this channel. Yeah, it might only be once a week we do these news videos, but I think it's going to be something very special. And I think it's going to form an absolutely beautiful community. And I'm already seeing it. Yeah, there's people in the comments that are always going to be dicks, right? They're always going to be super biased and not want to listen to anyone else. But that community we're building of people who want to check themselves and grow as an individual, it's beautiful to see, and I can't wait to get in the comments with you guys. So thank you to Ground News, link down below. Also, check out Morale if you want to support this new business I'm working on to get people outside. It's got a podcast. It's called Morale Boost. If you love the outdoors, you're going to want to check that out. Other than that, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.